Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic in Vedic astrology today. Today we will be talking about a special lagna. We know that there is a lagna, the as per the birth chart, as per when the person is born, there is the lagna, and we prepare a lagna chart or the ascendant chart based on that. But there are several other lagnas as has been given to us by the ancient scriptures and the ancient sages. Okay, and once again I'll remind you that all my videos are a direct reference to the ancient scriptures. It's not a figment of imagination of any modern day astrologer. So other than the lagna, there are other lagnas also which makes or through which we can do a better analysis of a birth chart. Okay, like we consider or we analyze a birth chart from the Chandra Lagna, okay, from the placement of the moon. We analyze a birth chart from the Surya Lagna, from the placement of the sun, so as to say. But there are certain other special lagnas as given to us by the ancient sages, and those lagnas are Bhava lagnas, Hora lagnas, Ghati lagnas, Vighati lagnas. Okay, Shri Lagna, I think we had a video I did discuss about Shri Lagna, based on which we can determine the wealth of a person. That we've already discussed, so if you have not watched that, please refer to that. There is a Pranapada Lagna, we discussed that in one of our earlier videos, so please refer to that as well. There is a Indu Lagna. So there are several lagnas which have been given to us, and these are all special lagnas. And why these lagnas are important is because as per the shlokas which will be forthcoming, or the sutras which will be forthcoming, there will be a reference to these lagnas, meaning which, there could be a shloka which says that, okay, a planet sitting from a special lagna, say for example a Ghati lagna, will give this kind of a result, or a planet sitting from Shri Lagna or Pranapada Lagna will give this kind of effect. So we need to understand also, along with the main lagna which we normally consider, or the other lagnas like the moon lagna or the Chandra lagna or the Surya lagna or the sun lagna. They're special lagnas, so we need to understand what they are so that we can do a better analysis. And today we will be talking about an important lagna called important special lagna called the Hora Lagna. Okay, so first we need to understand how to calculate, and I'll tell you in a second why we are considering the Hora Lagna. There's a reason why we are discussing Hora Lagna, and the reason is, I can just tell you right now that the reason is that a person's wealth can be determined through the Hora Lagna. Okay, so once we know the Hora Lagna, we draw the chart based on, or we present the chart, or we see the chart based on the Hora Lagna. And then, I'll just discuss in a second through an example as well, how to analyze somebody's wealth based on the Hora Lagna. Okay, so today we'll be talking about Hora Lagna, and how to calculate Hora Lagna is, we need to understand that you have to see the sunrise, okay, wherever the person is born. So take the sunrise and calculate the time of birth from the time of the sunrise. Okay, all right. So by the way, Hora Lagna repeats itself every 2.5 ghatis, and 2.5 ghatis is 60 minutes. And the unit of time, the unit of time in ancient times was ghatis. So Hora Lagna repeats itself. It comes back to the same Hora Lagna every 2.5 ghatis, or every 60 minutes. Okay, so first find out the time of the sunrise wherever that person is born, and then calculate the time which has passed from the sunrise to the time of birth. Okay, and then divide it by 2.5. Okay, and we're talking about ghatis here, not minutes. So whatever the ghatis is, from the time of the sunrise to the time of the birth, divide that by 2.5, and then add the quotient in Rashi, whatever is the quotient is there, add the quotient in the zodiac sign Rashi degrees, or the degrees rather, add the quotient to the degrees of the longitude of sun. So whatever the longitude of sun was at the time of birth, just add that quotient which we came with by dividing the time which has been passed from the sunrise to the time of birth, and then dividing it by 2.5, and whatever the quotient is, add that to the longitude of the sun which was there at the time of birth. And wherever that Rashi, wherever that zodiac sign falls, that will give you the Hora Lagna. Okay, and that point will give you exactly the Rashi degrees as well, or the zodiac sign degrees as well. Okay, it's pretty standard, but these days it's very easy to calculate it because there are softwares available. So at the click of a button you can find out what the Hora Lagna is. Okay, so that's what an Hora Lagna is. That's how you can determine the Hora Lagna. All right, so that's one. And the second thing is, we already discussed that through Hora Lagna we can find out the wealth of a person, and of course we can find out the wealth of a person through Sri Lagna, also through the main chart, also through the D2 chart, which is the Hora divisional chart. We can, and there are several other techniques given to us by the ancient sages, but this is just one technique, just one tool to find out the wealth of a person. So we'll discuss it, as you can see on the screen. We'll discuss it through a chart, and we'll figure out whether this tool works or not. So this chart in front of you is a very famous personalities chart, and we all know this chart, and I apologize, I have to use it several times, and many astrologers use this chart many times because of the accuracy of this chart. We know that this place, time and date is accurate, and this is the chart of the great superstar Amitabh Bachchan, as you can see on the screen. So the Hora Lagna of this chart falls in the zodiac sign of Cancer. Okay, so if you can just look at the Hora Lagna here, you can see the zodiac sign of Cancer, where the Hora Lagna falls, and it will also show you HL mentioned there. Okay, so through this chart, let's test as to how we can find out the wealth of a person. So if the Hora Lagna has Jupiter in it, which itself is a planet of wealth, we know that Jupiter is a planet of wealth, and over and above having Jupiter in the Hora Lagna, it is in its exaltation sign. Okay, it is in its exaltation sign. So what does it show? That the person is going to be wealthy, he's going to have wealth. That's number one. Now also we have to see what other planets are affecting the person's wealth. So if you see the second house from the Hora Lagna, it has Rahu in it. So what we can determine is that Rahu is a planet which will, since it's a malefic planet, it is going to provide obstruction to his wealth. So if you go and do an analysis of somebody's dashas, the operating periods, you'll figure out, especially in this case of Amitabh Bachchan's chart, that whenever Rahu periods may have been operating in his life, Rahu would have obstructed to his wealth because it's a malefic. Okay, so you can test it on several other charts. I'm just giving you an example of this famous personality's chart. And if you look at the other houses, which are the houses of wealth, one house of wealth is the 6th house. So if you see the 6th house from the Hora Lagna, it is the house of Scorpio. It's a zodiac sign of Scorpio, and it's the zodiac sign of Sagittarius. So 6th house from the Hora Lagna is the zodiac sign of Sagittarius. And we all know that Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and we already know that Jupiter is exalted in his chart and it falls in the Hora Lagna. So that is another indication that there will be plenty of wealth for this personality. Also, although we did discuss that Rahu is going to kind of obstruct his wealth, but at the same time, the 6th house, again the house of wealth, is going to give him wealth. Okay, so as to say, which shows he'll be wealthy. Now the 10th house also is a house of wealth, we know that. And if you look at this chart, the 10th house from the Hora Lagna of Cancer is ruled by the planet Mars. It falls in the zodiac sign of Aries. So here you see that Mars is directly aspecting the 10th house from the Hora Lagna through its 8th house aspect. So Mars becomes extremely strong there, and also it is strong anyways in his chart, but it becomes strong there in the 10th house from the Hora Lagna because it is directly aspecting through its 8th house aspect to the 10th house from the Hora Lagna. So that's also another indication that this person, in this case it is Amitabh Bachchan, is going to be wealthy. Okay, the 11th house also is a house of gains, and it can be a house of gains of wealth as well. So you see that Saturn is placed in the 11th house from his Hora Lagna, and we know that Saturn is a benefic planet for Amitabh, and it has given him a lot of wealth, and Saturn is 11th house from the Hora Lagna. So this was a little example. I will recommend you can go and, first of all, how to find the Hora Lagna, we already discussed about it, but then to find the ghatis as a unit of time could be difficult for you if you do it manually. So the best way is to go to a good software which will give you a Hora Lagna, find out what the Hora Lagna is, see what is there present in the Hora Lagna itself. In this Amitabh Bachchan's case, it's Jupiter, which is exalted, sitting in the house of Cancer, the zodiac sign of Cancer. So look at whether the Hora Lagna itself is powerful or not, and then look at the 2nd house from the Hora Lagna, look at the 6th house from the Hora Lagna, look at the 10th house from the Hora Lagna, and look at the 11th house from the Hora Lagna, and look at the aspects, what planets are aspecting those houses as well, which will give you an indication. And once again, I'll repeat that do not come to a conclusion based on just this tool. There are several other tools which we discussed earlier in this video as to find the wealth of a person. Okay, but this is a very important tool, and we've tested it in this chart, tested on several other charts yourself as well, and see whether you find any conclusive evidence or conclusive analysis that yes, this thing works. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and in the meanwhile I will recommend subscribe to my channel, check out my website, there is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic in Vedic astrology in my next session very soon. Goodbye.